Hi folks, a how-to video to show you how to replace the controller on your ATI Dimmable SunPower fixture. Step 1 is we're going to remove the end plate and remove the screws holding the middle tray of the fixture in place. So we're going to remove the screws here on the top, on the power cord side. There's also 2 screws on the bottom kind of inside edge. And then we're also going to remove the 4 to 6 screws that appear along the flat side edge of the fixture itself, running all the way down to the other side. To do that, all you need is a 2mm hex key. Now that we've got all the screws removed, what we're going to go ahead and do is remove the actual power cord from the fixture housing. Before we do that, I'm actually going to lay some blue tape around the grommet itself, just in case the pair of pliers slips while we're popping the grommet out. Next thing we're going to do is just take a pair of pliers and we're going to remove the grommet holding the power cord in place. Just go ahead and get in there, squeeze it real good, and then gently kind of wiggle it back and forth, and it should pop right out for you. The next step is going to be removing the fans from the fixture housing. To do that, we're going to remove the 2 plastic rivets that hold each fan to the housing itself. Before we do that though, I'm just going to lay some blue tape along the edges of the fan, just in case the tool we're going to use to pop the rivets out slips. Now that we've got our protective blue tape laid down, we're going to take a flat blade, like a razor blade, and we're going to gently slide that in between the fan guard and the plastic rivet itself. And then we're going to gently pry the rivet itself up. Once it gets going a little bit, you can just use your fingers and just pull it right out. Next thing I'm going to do is pull the fan assembly from outside the fixture housing. Once I've got it up, I'm actually going to use a little bit of blue tape, and I'm going to mark the actual internal wire that matches up to the black wire with a little bit of blue tape. Once I've got that done, it's just literally a matter of pinching and pulling to get the wires loose. You're going to repeat the same process for the other fans in the fixture. Our next step is going to be to remove the 2 hex screws that hold the controller to the fixture housing. Again, our 2mm hex key. After we've got both screws removed, we're going to go ahead and push the controller inside the housing frame. You need to be really careful to make sure that all 5 buttons are recessed inside the fixture. You don't want them getting caught on the fixture housing when you open the fixture up, or the controller buttons will break. Looks like that's in there pretty good. Our next step is going to be actually to slide the fixture housing apart. While we do that, we need to feed the power cord through into the housing. We also need to make sure that all the wires, or none of the wires from the fans or anything else, get caught on the inside of the fixture housing or the outside. Our next step is going to be to remove the controller from the fixture housing. But before we do that, we're actually going to mark the wires to make sure that when we put the replacement back in, we wire it up the exact same way as the current controller is. So again, blue tape. First, I'm going to mark the black wire that's got a little bit of a green line on it, a little bit of blue tape. I'm also going to then mark the matching gray wire, so when we come back in here we know which side it goes to. Going to do the same thing with the red lead here. There's actually a red lead with a little bit of a black line on it. Go ahead and mark that. And then I'm also going to mark the connector here at number 1, just to remind myself that the one with the black lead goes into spot number 1. Last thing to mark is that there's these small leads that go into the back of the controller circuit board. And I'm going to mark the left one with a little bit of blue tape. I'm also then going to, as a reminder, put a little bit of blue tape on the left side here of the controller itself to remind myself to put it back in the same spot. Now that we've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the wires. The ones on the back just simply pull out. And then the red and the black is simply just pinch and pull. Next step is going to be to peel up the glue that's holding the temperature sensor in place. Before we do that though, a little bit of blue tape again, or some kind of marking tape, to mark the hole in the fixture housing where the temperature sensor is going to go. And the glue, again, if you just use your fingers, you should be able to just peel it right up. Once you've got that off, you can simply remove the entire controller. Next step is going to be to wire a new controller in place. If you recall, we marked this gray wire with a little bit of blue tape, and that matched up to the black wire that had the green line on it. So again, we want to match those up again. Just pinch the connector a little bit, slide the wire in, make sure it's making a good connection, and then do the same with the other wire. Same thing on the red side. Again, remember the one with the black line on it, we marked up to number 1, which had a little bit of blue tape on it. This one, just simply push it in and then give it a quick tug to make sure it's in there well. Same thing with number 2. And then for the leads for the actual control itself, again, we use the blue tape to mark the one that goes on the left-hand side. This simply pushes right into the back of the connector on the back of the circuit board here. And we're going to do the same thing with the other one. Our next step is actually going to be to glue the temperature probe back in place. Before we do that though, I want to secure it temporarily to the fixture housing. So I'm going to remove the blue tape, and then I'm going to center the tip, or the black tip, over the middle of the hole where originally placed, and just use again a little bit of the blue tape to temporarily hold it in place to the fixture. Next thing we'll do is grab a glue gun and glue it back down. We're now going to take our hot glue gun and we're going to put a similar size dab of glue down to hold the temperature probe back into place. Next step is to start to gently slide the fixture back together. While you do that, just make sure that none of the wires, none of the components inside the fixture get caught, pinched, or pulled as you slide the two parts together. When you get up to the controller, be extremely careful that the buttons on the controller itself do not get caught up on the side of the fixture housing, as they're very fragile and can break off. Next step is going to be to reorient the controller back into position. Again, be real careful with the buttons, they are very fragile. Once you got it in place, you're going to take your 2 short hex screws and place them back into the right locations. Next step is to reinstall the grommet for the power cord. Just going to wrap it around the power cord. Line it up with the hole there. Go ahead and grab our pair of pliers. Give it a good squeeze. Pop it in place. Next step is to reinstall the fans. First thing though is going to take the wires. We're just going to give the bare wires just a quick little twist to bundle them again a little bit. Then we're going to fold them over the black part of the lead. Going to do the same thing with the red wire. Then we're going to go ahead and connect the black wire back to the one we marked previously with a little bit of blue tape. Just pinch and insert. Repeat the same process with the red wire. Tuck your wires back in place. Insert the fan. Next we're going to reinstall the plastic rivets that hold the fans to the fixture housing. It's a 2-part rivet. You can take the small part of the rivet and we're going to insert it into the hole. Once you've got it in, take the part of the rivet with the head. You're going to insert it in there. Push it down. Our last step is to reinstall the hex screws that hold the inner tray to the outer housing, as well as the hex screws that hold the end plate to the outer housing. To do that, we need our 2mm hex key. Go ahead and install the screw on the end there. With the ones that are going to be installed on the side here, you may need to pull the tray up a little bit to align the hole. Should go in there. Once you got it going, give it obviously a twist, tighten them down. Follow the same process for the other ones along the side. And you're going to do the same thing for the ones here along the edge. That should wrap it up. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach us at atinorthamerica.com.